Hello. I'm just gonna prepare a bit for future coding interviews. So just to share, I finished like Nico 130 like 3-4 times. Nico 130 because I don't do the math and the bit the manipulation part. But yeah, I've kind of forgot most of my DSA, so gotta brush out on that. So last time I used to do in Python, but I did object-oriented programming this semester as a business student. So I'll try doing in Java. Yeah, it will be fun. So I just go through a bit of questions one by one. So okay, for those who are new to programming or like something called LeetCode in general, so there's this website called neetcode.io, which is for you to practice your data structures and algorithms. It sounds very like uh very verbose, but don't worry, it's nothing hard. As with all things in life, like practice a bit more, it will be fine. So yeah, I will try to cover like assuming you don't have any programming knowledge. So yeah, hopefully it will be okay for everyone. So the first one is contains duplicate. So first thing, reach the question. Is there an integer array? So array is just like English, array of object or a bunch of objects that are together. So in programming, we denote arrays by like the square brackets. So this is array of numbers. This array has four numbers, 1, 2, 3, and 1. So given an integer array nums, return true if any value appears at least twice in the array, or return false if every element is distinct. So for example, here 1, 2, 3, 1, you can see that the value 1 appears twice. So that's why you put true, because any value appears at least twice in the array. Here 1, 2, 3, 4 is false because all of them are distinct. So I'll be using a programming language called Java. So Java, for the non-experienced, for the new programmers, right? There's a whole thing called a class. So this class, you can think of it as a person. So a person, for example, this is like a class human. Then there's methods. Public. Public just means like this method can be accessed from anywhere outside the class. So, and then it returns a type of boolean because from the question, you either return true or false. Then this is the name of the method. So here, it means whatever the method requires. So this method contains duplicate, requires an array called nums, which is this nums. And what is the type? What is the type of the values of each item in the array? It is a data type called int. So int stands for integer. So that's about how you can try to understand like the code that the programming website, which is leetcode.com, provides you. So just now I said neetcode.com. I don't want to do it here because I already done it like just now. So I will just redo here. So so just to share, right? In programming, there's different types of ways to get to an answer as with everything. But in the context of data structures and algorithms, right, there's two criteria that is of the most importance to programmers in general. The first thing is something called time complexity. So it's how quickly your code runs. And the second one is space complexity. How much memory is needed for your code to run? So for this question, maybe I don't talk too much about it. You just need to know like every single programming data structures and algorithms question, right? There's two things, time complexity and space complexity. Because this is the easiest question, I don't want to talk too much about it yet. But so I will just do a quick intro of Java. So class is just what the thing that contains all the necessary information for a piece of code. So for example, you have a class human with a method breathe. So in this case, it is a class of solution with a method called contains duplicate. Then contains duplicate method requires an integer array nums, which is this part. It returns a boolean. So boolean is true or false as per the requirements here. Okay. So for containing a duplicate, we use something called a hash map. Hash map is a pretty simple thing to understand. So for the context of like new programmers, right? You can think of a hash map as something like a book. So a hash map will be something like you fold the paper, you put a bookmark in between every single piece of paper. Okay, let's see. Okay, so for example, this book, there's this book, right? Then here, you have the table of contents, right? So for example, each hash map, right? It has for every hash map entry, there's a key and the value. So this hash map is a type of data structure that allows us to find something more easily. So for example, right, if we don't have the hash map, right, we want to find like, for example, what is statistical learning, right? You see it's page 15. Then without this like table of contents or the hash map, right, we need to flip every page one by one until we see, let me try to find statistical learning. Then it's here. So this is without the hash map. So if you do that, right, then it will require more time because you need to flip 15 pages to find that one page. Whereas if you have the hash map, which you can think of as a table of contents, then you just go to this page, which is the table of contents, you see, oh, page 15. Then you just flip to page 15. You don't need to flip 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Aha, 15. So a hash map will help to speed up the time, will help to reduce the time complexity. So how do you create a hash map? So hash map, you start with hash map. So this is how you spell hash map. Then for every hash map, right, the entry, what is the data types that are part of it? So this one is an integer. Why a hash map of type integer and integer? It's because this hash, we have to think first, why do we want to use a hash map and how do we want to use a hash map? So just now I explained to you why do we want to use a hash map already. How do we want to use the hash map? So just now you see the table of contents, right? The name of the title and what page is located at. Similarly here, right? The key, the first one will be the value. Then the second one is how many times it appears. So to give it a proper name, we will do something like numFrag. So number, frequency that the number appears. That will be the name of this hash map that I want to create. So this side will tell the computer, hey, I want to create a hash map. And then for every entry, the key is of type integer, the value is of type integer. So the key here in this case is the number. The value in this case is the frequency. And on the right side, you need to create the hash map. You create the hash map with this keyword called new hash map. There, put 2 brackets there. Then this is the way to create a new hash map. So here, create a hash map with number as key and frequency as the value. Then after that, right, you have the hash map or the table of contents. But so far, there's nothing in there. So what do you have to do? You have to populate the hash map. Populate the hash map. So here, right, nums, for example, for example 1, if you do like a normal person, right, you see, oh, the number 1 appears once, number 2 appears once, number 3 appears once, number 1, oh, I saw it just now. I already had 1. So the frequency now is 2. So this is how we as a human will try to go through every single number in the nums array and then try to keep track of the number, right? So we do that in programming through what is called for loop. So in Java, there's two types of ways to create to execute a for loop. So for loop just means like for every item in something, do something. So there's loop 1 is using something, using an what is called an enhanced for loop. So the structure is like this: for integer number in the array of numbers. So this n, right, can be anything. You can put number, you can put high, you can put bulk. The name doesn't matter. It is something called a variable. A variable is like in math. It can be x, it can be y, it can be z, it can be anything. Nobody cares. But this tells the computer, hey, I want to refer to these nums. And then this is the data type of every single variable. So for every number, so for every n in nums, so this dot dot just means in. Then what you will do is numFrag dot put. So this put, like the English name suggests, you put a key and a value into the hash map. So first things first, before that, like I said earlier, right? Like if you hit here, right, you have to add 1 to the number you got previously. So you will do something, you need to get the previous value first. So this in of the previous frequency equals to numFrag dot get. You use this keyword called, you use this method called get. But sometimes, right, when there is no such value in the hash map, right, then it will result in an error. So when will that occur? For example, here, it occurred 1 for, you only seen 1 for the first time. You cannot use get. If you use get, then you may run into an error. So you use get or default. This is a method that prevents the computer from throwing you an error. So get or default. So there's two items that you have to pass into this method. The first one is for what key or what number do you want to get the frequency? So for this case, it is the number we are currently going through. So it is n. So this is the same as this. So what if the computer cannot find the frequency for this number n? Then, I want the computer to return me 0 for the previous frequency. And after that, you put, so now you have the previous frequency, you do numFrag dot put n. So that's the key, previous frequency plus 1. So this is populating the hash map. Then after that, you can do if, now you will check if numFrag dot get n is more than or equals to 2, you return true. So if the value appears at least twice, because when you get, you're trying to get the value or the frequency for the specific number. So you return true. Else, after you finish the whole for loop, right? You have gone through the whole thing. So here, 1, 2, 3, 4, you've gone through. None of the values appears at least twice. So return false at the end. Return false. Then after you're done, you check the code. It looks good. Then you can try to submit. I'll give it a while. Compile error. So compile error, hash map integer. So don't be scared when you see a error. First thing you do is read the error line. Error cannot find symbol. So it cannot find the symbol hash map. So to it means that the computer does not have the information called hash map. So first thing is, if you are not sure for new programmer, you do cannot find symbol hash map. You paste in the error code and Java. So you'll go to most of the time you run to this website called Stack Overflow, and they will tell you need to import. So we import. Still cannot. Okay, then let's look through. Hash map of type integer to integer, numFrag. New hash map. You see? That's why the space, the capital letter matters also. Yeah, I'm trying to record while doing it at the same time, so there's a bit of a problem. But we can keep a cool and calm mind, then we can just debug. Yeah. Most of the time for programmers, we have to debug a lot of times. So we throw it in one more time, and then we are accepted. So this means that the code has passed. Yeah. Hope you all enjoy this. I will try to explain better. Yeah, I think I will get better as I explain to you guys also. So, yep, there's the code.